Hey, this is Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com, and today we're going to talk about what they don't tell you about being jacked. So let's get into this. The first thing that you don't understand about being jacked, if you're trying to get bigger and stronger, is you're going to have to eat all the time. And that's hard because what eventually sounds like awesome, right? I can have food roughly anytime I want, is it becomes a massive chore. Take my friend Thor, for example. He was eating 2,000 calories every 3 hours, whether he was awake or asleep, throughout the entire duration of the day to weigh 450 pounds to win strongman events. Totally insane, right? Now that's an extreme level, but even at my biggest, I was taking in between 8,500 and 10,000 calories a day to weigh 300. Okay, so the point is that food eventually becomes a chore and everything doesn't taste good, right? Even choking down things like pancakes or boneless wings or any of these other foods, eventually to get the caloric intake that you need becomes a massive chore. So if you're trying to get super big or jacked, the amount of food that you're going to eat is going to be totally crazy. Now on the kind of the same side of that, but reversed, is if you're trying to gain quality mass, that becomes a whole nother ballgame. Eating enough calories in clean food, like the vertical diet with beef and rice, becomes a huge chore. You can only flavor the rice and beef so many ways. If you want to know how I do it, get the nutrition manual off the website. But the point is that eating becomes a chore when you want to get big and strong. The next thing is you're going to have to get used to attention. And I know that everybody thinks that you're going to get all this attention from girls wanting to come up and grab your arm or look how jacked your calves are or how big your upper back is. Really, it just attracts dudes. So the point is that usually guys are going to be the only ones that are going to stare at you and look at you like, oh wow, man, I'd love to be that big. And girls could care less. They're more concerned with what's in your wallet. The next thing is you're always going to get constant people asking you for help moving heavy shit. So like, your girlfriend or your mom or your grandma, it's like, oh, could you help me move this, piece of furniture or this grandfather clock or something? You're always the guy that everybody calls when they need something heavy and awkward and really fucked up move. So being big and jacked is cool, but the problem is that people think that, you're their particular, ball and chain to do whatever you want physically. So be careful on that as well. People will try to do what you do without understanding what it takes. Now, when I was a kid, I was a bigger kid, and my metabolism slowed down quite a bit from being in a bedridden and cast for almost a year in first grade. So after that, I was always a pretty husky kid. But at the end of the day, the amount of work that I had to put in to be bigger and stronger and muscular was very, very difficult. Many, many years and now many decades have passed in just consistent training. And really what separates a lot of people from a lot of different both business and physical goals is consistency. I don't know how many people come up and start the first week or two or maybe month and they want to get in better shape, but then once they realize how much work it takes, they quit. And that's why it's very, very hard and why you see the fitness industry sell people 4-week diets and 6-week diets and 10-week challenges, is because in reality, most people are only going to stick with something for a month or two if you're lucky. So the point is that if you want to be big and jacked, unless you're a super freak like Michael Hearn, you're probably going to have to work your ass off, and he still works his ass off. Mobility and everyday tasks tend to be limited. The big thing is I'll give you the prime example. The reason that I wear sandals in almost everything that I do other than leg day is because when I was 300 pounds, I could barely get my fucking shoes on. And I know people are just like, oh my God, like I was so mobility challenged that putting shoes on was a chore. Now it's not so bad, weighing 260 and losing 50 pounds. But the point is that I got used to not being able to put my shoes on very well or my socks. And that sounds ridiculous, but if you really want a big back and you want super jacked legs, a lot of times you're not going to be able to sustain that flexibility unless you were a super athlete beforehand. A lot of my mobility issues came after my car accident, but nonetheless, I compounded that problem by getting a very thick back, very strong lats, and very, very strong legs and hamstrings, etc. So the point is that a lot of those things have become issues. So the point is that if you want to be big and jacked, we have a lot of things on the website to help you. We have manuals, we have eating nutrition guides, online coaching, we have Patreon and TRAINHEROIC to help you with your needs. But just remember that there's a trade-off. When you get jacked, You're going to be, you're going to get a lot of attention probably from the same sex, which is, not probably what you intended, right? You're going to have to eat like a madman constantly to be able to sustain that. And if you're trying to get bigger and leaner at the same time, the quality of that food has to be excellent. And the point is that gets hard to do as well. So if you need any help, go on winningstrength.com. But this is what it's going to take and the things you're going to give up to be jacked.